A Cape Town Shell garage cashier's dream accomplishment turned into a nightmare after her boss demanded to know how she managed to afford her car on her salary. The lady reported that instead of congratulating her, her boss became suspicious and demanded access to her bank account when he became aware that she had purchased a second-hand car. She alleges that he emailed himself her bank statements and went through them as she watched. Although he found nothing suspicious, he allegedly told her that he no longer trusted her and felt uncomfortable with her continuing in her cashier role. According to her, he then gave her an ultimatum to either work outside as a petrol attendant or resign. She refused to adhere to the ultimatum and consulted her union as she was of the opinion that she had done nothing wrong. She had diligently saved for 9 months and managed to get a bank loan. She hoped to start a side hustle with the car. Her union contacted the employer and advised the employee to return to work until the employer gave her written documentation regards the way forward. The employer maintained that he did not do anything wrong. Everything was done with consent. She had not been fired but had now gone to falsely accuse the company, a move that will have consequences. The owner declined to reveal what prompted the investigation, saying it was an internal matter. Offering further details, the employee said she had arrived at work on the Monday of the incident. The employer then told her that he had received a tip-off that she was planning to steal money. He then offered her 2 weeks paid leave whilst the police investigated the tip-off. She refused the leave and requested all communication to be documented. Guys, let me know what you think about this case. Just analyzing it on the facts as reported without looking at whether they are true or not, the employee did well by not resigning and seeking advice from her union. We're just not sure about the accusation of reporting falsehoods, as this could lead to disciplinary action.
If you want to know how much your manager hates you, just buy a car. Save up for 2 years, 3 years and buy a car. There's a woman in Cape Town in Maitlands who did just that, and she found out just that. She saved up for a car for 2 years and she got a bank loan, and she was like, finally, I have a job and I can finally start some side hustle so that I can also maybe get out of this situation or get my money up. And her manager had the audacity of accusing her, first of all, of theft, and then giving her an ultimatum saying that if you do not quit, you will have to be a petrol attendant. So from a cashier to a petrol attendant, just because the lady managed to buy a car. And honestly, she was surprised like most of us, because she was like, man, I thought they'd be happy for me. I mean, given the fact that most people that work in this industry are always trying to get their way up. And when she finally had an accomplishment, she saw the manager's true colors. So I guess it's true what they say, hey, these jobs or certain jobs, particularly in the hospitality industry, they usually look for people who are struggling and who are going to struggle for a very long time, because the moment you show a tiny bit of progress, clearly you can't work there anymore.
That's like, you buy a car, you buy a second-hand car for yourself, but instead of celebrating you, your manager or your boss comes to you and says, there's no way that you can afford a car with the salary I pay you. This looks very suspicious. Show me your bank statements so that I can eliminate any fraud or any suspicious activities that I am assuming was at play here, because there's no way you could afford this car with the salary I pay you. How would you respond to your boss asking you to do that?
That, first of all, that sounds illegal, and it is also abusive, mentally and otherwise. You have absolutely, first of all, if I'm coming to work every single day and doing what I need to do in your establishment and getting paid for it, and if I've got a side hustle or any sugar stuff happening in the background, or a side hustle, or I've got other investments, or whatever it is that I'm doing, is absolutely none of your business. How I'm getting that additional money, or perhaps I've been saving for several years to get this car. So, 100%. Oh my God, I would be highly upset.
There was a cashier working at a Shell garage in Cape Town, a 28-year-old, who recently bought herself a car, a second-hand car, after diligently saving for about 9 months. But instead of those congratulations, her manager, her boss, alleged that it's very suspicious because based on what you are being paid, you can't afford this kind of car, apparently, based on the boss. They were then given an ultimatum: either resign because we are suspecting, fraud or you stealing from the till. Either you resign or you work as a petrol attendant so that you can be away from the till. She then said that the boss demanded to see her bank statements so that they can rule out and conduct their own internal investigation. Fortunately, the national, what do they call themselves? The National Insourced Workers Union has said that forcing an employee to resign over personal purchase is illegal and requested formal documentation from the employer so that they can address this. So it appears that it has been elevated and that she is seeking counsel and that representatives are going to help her out in this situation. She still goes back to work. They asked her to take 2 weeks off so that they can conduct an internal investigation, but she didn't. She's like, no, I'm going back to work. I did nothing wrong. I bought a car with my own money that I saved. What business of that is yours, as a manager, to then demand my bank statements because you think I've been stealing from you? That caught my eye, and it was very sad because the reality is there are people in the workplace that are being bullied like that by their managers and their bosses. They cross these lines, and because they don't know any better, she ends up then giving him those bank statements and saying, okay, just so you don't fire me or just so that you don't call the cops. I don't know. I didn't do anything wrong, but I'm going to do it because you are my manager.
Yeah, and I don't want to lose my job.
And I don't want to lose my job. This was horrible.
Very abusive situation. But I wanted to note that I think this is good to also note the value of unions in such situations.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The union stepping up to fight and be the voice for the voiceless, because these managers and these people that are running these establishments know that people don't know any better. So if I demand to invade your privacy, you don't know any better, so you will jump if I say so. So big ups to the unions. I think that's just worth mentioning, that they are definitely still 100%. Worth it and are contributing to really helping people that need this kind of work and this kind of service.
100%. Let us know on our TikTok platform at Channel Africa 1. What would you do?
Employer taking action against an employee based on mere suspicion. And in this particular case, there's no evidence that the employee, for example, stole from him, took money from the till where she was working. Yeah. And the employer is suspicious, and he bases everything on suspicion alone.
And the other part, Tony, isn't the other concerning part her privacy? Asking for her bank statements and things like that for her to prove that, she didn't steal or anything?
Well, what seems to have happened here is absolutely the employer has no right to request the employee's bank statements. But if they do, as was the case here, then the employee does not have to give that consent. But as we know in this case, she actually did, which was unwise. Now, it didn't reveal that she had, in fact, stolen any money or had any other source of income. But if an employer asks an employee to share their bank statements, then they absolutely, the employee has the right to refuse to do so.
Sure. So what are the rights of the employee, especially someone like us, after being fired, and also your privacy being invaded the way that you have? What's her recourse right now?
Well, she may not have a case in terms of her privacy being evaded because she consented to sharing her bank statements. But if indeed she has been dismissed, then like any other employee who's been dismissed, and if they believe it was unfair, as would seem to be the case here, then they have the right to refer the matter to the CCMA within 30 days of being dismissed, and the CCMA would look at this. And based on the facts that we see presently, the employer would have some difficulty in defending such a claim.
And the repercussions for such a company?
Well, like any other dismissal, the potential remedy or the actual remedy available is that she can be reinstated or claim compensation to a maximum of 12 months' salary.
Yeah, sure.